What if Deku had matter manipulation? Part 1. We start this what if off with the birth of Izuku Midoriya to his mother, Inko Midoriya. Izuku from there would grow up to be a very, very happy child. He would get to play with his friends, and he had many of them. That was up until the point where he turned 4 years old, where he would go to the Cork doctor's office and perform tests to see if he will have a cork or will be corkless. Izuku was sitting down in a chair, just kicking his legs around, very excited. He was smiling brightly, holding his All Might action figure up in the air, just marveling at it, thinking how he's going to become the number one hero, just like his idol, All Might. From there, the doctor would walk in, looking down at his clipboard, just completely shocked. He was speechless. Inko would take this as some sort of bad sign and would step up off of her chair and reach over to the doctor before the doctor would glance back up at her as if telling her to sit back down. She would instantly sit down as the doctor would then just smile at them. Well, Miss Midoriya and little Izuku, it's been discovered that you have quite an extraordinary quirk. It's called matter manipulation. It's quite possibly the strongest quirk I've ever seen, and I've worked for 30 years in the quirk field. I don't know how it's possible. Hmm. We'll have to contact the heroes. We have to contact them. Why do we have to contact them? Is his quirk unstable or something? Oh no, it's not that. I just have a feeling if it would land in villain hands, he could quite possibly be molded into a hero or brainwashed. Well, I guess you're right, Inko would say, as the doctor would call UA, to which two heroes would come. Nezu, the principal of the school, and Aizawa, one of the teachers. From there, they would both sit down, asking him what the deal was, with Aizawa just kind of looking annoyed, as the doctor would then just speak. It's amazing, Nezu. This boy here has one of the most powerful quirks I've ever seen, if not the most powerful. It might even be stronger than All Might's quirk. Oh, you don't say, Nezu would respond, as the doctor would continue. Oh, yes, it's called matter manipulation. And the reason I called was because I have a feeling if it fell into the wrong hands, it could quite possibly be the end of civilization. He could be one of the most powerful humans on the planet right now. Nezu would think, as the doctor would be sitting there waiting for Nezu's answer. Well, that is quite the pickle. Well, I'll have to go back to UA to discuss this with my teachers and staff. Don't let word of this boy's quirk get out. You understand? Yes, I do. Thank you for coming on such a short notice. No problem, Doctor. As Nezu and Aizawa would leave, as Aizawa and Izuku would be asked for their phone number by Nezu, which they would give it to him as they would go back to their apartment. Izuku would ask to go to the park to tell his friends about his quirk. However, Inko, now fearing that Izuku could get kidnapped if the word got out, and her not being the brightest tool or the brightest light bulb, would just think, yeah, maybe they already figured it out. Maybe they already know what his quirk is or something stupid like that, even though they just got home and they were at the doctor's office 20 minutes ago. So she would basically shut and lock all the doors, windows, and board them up, not letting anybody in. Izuku would get kind of scared by her behavior, but would think nothing of it. It was just his mom being kind of strange. That's all he thought of it. Izuku would just be sitting there on the couch as he would be eating his dinner, just kind of confused at his mother's erratic behavior. Now we cut back to UA as they would be sitting in a conference room. Hmm, what do you suppose we do, Aisawa? Well, the cork is quite strong just by the name of it, so I think you should live here on campus. Yes, that is possibly the best option. You would be able to live here in safety. Yes, I think we should do that. All right, they'll move here tomorrow. Cementos. Your name is quite hard to pronounce. Just can you go build a small house on the campus? Oh yes, Nezu. As Cementos, I don't know how to pronounce it, would go off to start building their house. Aizawa would stand up, saying, "Don't you think this is kind of sudden? They've just figured out his quirk. The kid's only 4 after all. Having to move so suddenly. Don't you think that's a bit much?" Uh, no, we do want the safest for society, and I think the safest would be to get him in here, inside our walls, as quick as possible. Well, I guess you're right, Ozawa would say, as Izuku, or we cut back to Izuku, who Inko would just get a phone call. Izuku would look over as Inko's eyes would just expand in shock. Wait, what do you mean we're moving there tomorrow? Pack our stuff? What do you mean? As the just ringing of a hung up phone would start, as Inko would place her phone down and would then tell Izuku to go pack his stuff as they're leaving. Izuku would ask them where they were going, as Inko would say UA. Izuku, being only 4, would have no clue what this school was, so he would just go up to his room and start packing whatever he wanted. He would mostly just get his suitcase out and fill it with all his All Might stuff that he had at the time, instead of maybe something useful like clothes. So the day would pass as they would move into UA. Izuku would just look around, completely shocked at how cool the surroundings look, as it was the middle of summer. School had just been released, so they moved in with no students around. So Izuku and his mother would unpack as Nezu would come over to them, telling her that Izuku will have to be pulled out of school and will be trained and taught by the UA teachers. Inko would just look at him saying, "Don't you think his mind won't be able to comprehend in a few years when he has to go out and make friends?" "Oh, that's fine. He'll learn eventually. Besides, we're giving your son a full scholarship to UA, so it doesn't really matter. He's still getting a full scholarship into one of the top hero schools, in my opinion." Inko would have no choice to argue, as from there, over the next 10 to 11 years, Izuku would be trained by the teachers. He would be taught by the teachers. It was like he was just getting he wasn't getting self-taught, he was getting just all the attention of these teachers when they were off school. And of course the teachers didn't want to be doing this to some bratty kid that they just saw barged in with a powerful cork. So Nezu of course had to up their pay quite a lot so that he could protect quite possibly one of the most powerful people he'll ever meet. So from there, Izuku would learn how to use his quirk. He'd be able to activate it on will. He grew quite strong. He'd learn martial arts from Aizawa. Aizawa would end up becoming Izuku's favorite teacher, as all the other teachers would kind of go easy on him, thinking he was a kid or just somebody that was inexperienced, while Aizawa would give him some type of challenge or workout that somebody say 15 or 20 would do, and this was when he was around 10. So Izuku grew to like Aizawa as his teacher, and he saw Aizawa kind of as a mentor. Izuku would still be quite nice. He would just not really know how to have general conversations. He's been around pretty much the same people for years and years. Sure, he's gone into UA multiple times so that just other people can see how strong this one kid is. However, there was some drawbacks with Izuku moving. The doctor, of course, wasn't on the hero's side. He was on the villain's side. He did not know if Izuku had moved into UA. They had done the conversation in private, and so he thought Izuku was out there being protected by heroes. So the doctor told All for One about how such a powerful quirk exists, in that they must find him so All for One can take the quirk and be the ruler of the entire world. All for One would agree with this, saying that they must find that boy who has the cork. Now, once those 11 years would pass, it would finally be the start of the anime, as Izuku would be told that in exactly 10 months' time, he will have to just do the UA entrance exam. Sure he has a scholarship, but they still want to see how he'll compare to just the robots. So Izuku would be just sitting around for 10 months training, of course, and learning, as finally those 10 months would pass and he could finally do the entrance exam. However, he was in the kind of recommended exam with all the recommended students just so that they could see that they're not the best. Just because they were recommended doesn't mean that they are the top students. So Izuku would easily just destroy each and every one of them in each of the tests, getting first place in the recommended just test site thing, as they would think how strong Izuku must be, and that Izuku is definitely getting in, even though he definitely was getting in. He pretty much already got in. So Izuku would then leave after being told that he had finished, as Izuku would walk off, but a lot of people who were leaving too just saw Izuku walk off into a different path from the exit. They were confused by this, but kind of thought nothing of it. They're on private property and were told not to wander off. And that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy What If Deku Had Matter Manipulation Part 1. Part 2 will hopefully be out tomorrow, and so I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye.